Hey guys, thank you for tuning in once again for another episode and a deep talk about a subject of great importance that I'm sure will transform your life mindset and behavior from here on if you are to take notes and put into practice what I'm about to share with you. But first, I want to state that my goal through this conversation is not to entertain you, not to be your friend, not to be liked, but rather to empower you, to inspire you, and to educate you on what is available to you if you set your mind to it and take inspired action. Because I know you can, and I know you will. So let's get on to it. Today's conversation is fundamentally important because it's going to change everything. It's just going to put you in a whole different space, mindset, heart space, and so on. And that is of how to accelerate your personal development, or what I call 10x growth, exponential growth, going above and beyond what people think is possible in a very short amount of time. First, we have to begin with the fundamental question. Why would you want to accelerate your personal growth? What's in it for you? Why would you go through what is required to not just grow, but to exponentially grow and accelerate your growth? What is your why? What's going to get you there? What's going to get you to go and cross the line when the going gets tough? Because trust me, it will. That's the point of it. You're not going to grow in your comfort zone. So why? What's going to get you there? What is your why? What is a why that is so powerful that no matter what shows up, because trust me, things will show up. That's just the rule set of the game of life. Things show up and lessons get harder and more complex as we go forward and we expand who we are, we grow and what we do and so on. So you can expect for things to get more complicated. So why? Ask yourself, and please think about this. I do mean that this is a fundamental importance, or a question with a fundamental importance that's going to lay out the foundations on which you can build upon and take inspired action from. It's fundamentally important to have this clarity of why. Because those with strong why will persevere and will find a way to their destination. Those without, they'll give up as soon as things get a little bit uncomfortable, or as soon as they don't have a clear answer to a withstanding question. So dig into it, find your why, go as deep as you possibly can. Your why has to be something very, very emotionally charged for you. It has to be something that makes you just want to cry, or just fills you up with very, very strong emotions. Because if it's not, if it's just a rational idea, forget about it. The moment you feel a bit uncomfortable, unsure, insecure, and so on, your mind will give you the justification why you should give up and why is it impossible for you, or whatever the hell the excuse is going to be, because that's all it's going to be, just an excuse that gives you the rational justification of why you should throw in the towel and kind of like fuck off to whatever, right? And this is not why you're here. You're not watching a video of how to exponentially grow if you're not willing to do the work necessary. Because if you think that I'm going to give you a magic pill that you can take overnight and wake up and be a superhero, well, sorry, but that's not going to happen. I wish they sold them somewhere, but they don't. Or at least not yet. I stand corrected if that happens anytime in the future, but I highly doubt it. Anyways, moving forward. I will share with you what is my reason why I would love to exponentially grow, and is something I'm talking from personal experience, something I've been doing for myself for a significant amount of time. I've been finding the things that allow me to grow exponentially, and I've been giving it all so I can get the greatest lessons, the greatest growth and expansion, and the greatest self-confidence and assurance through this process. And here's the thing. We are brought in this game of life for few particular reasons. To grow, contribute, and that's about it. Learn, grow, contribute. What allows you to contribute in a greater capacity is your growth, because your growth is the multiplier that goes prior to the word contribute. Think of it this way. You have this simple mathematical equation. Whatever the x of your growth times your contribution equals your total amount of contribution. We are here to contribute, to grow, and learn in the process. And obviously, the further and larger your growth exponent is, the greater the product of your contribution. And I don't know if you've done this before, but if you've ever got into the space where we actually do something for someone else, not you, is when you're gonna start to feel a level of fulfillment and joy that nothing else you do for yourself could ever give you. Just this is how this whole system is wired. We are here to grow on a personal level and to contribute on a world-centric or at least ethnocentric view to others outside ourselves, to make a difference, to make a contribution, to impact others' lives in a positive way, to be influential, to be of service, to add value, to be amazing human beings with everyone else, just like this. You see, here is a challenge. I'm gonna keep shooting. Yeah, this whole thing's gonna pour out on the floor now, and there's gonna be a huge mess, but no, fuck it. You know, the iPod is wet. The floor just took a piss. I'll just move it aside and we'll keep shooting, because I will be full of shit if I was to stop this video and get back to like cleaning up my mess here. It's what? It's a big deal. It's just water. Fuck it. Whatever. So here is the deal. He will continue on a roll. But what I wanted to, in my personal life and experience, this is the only and sole reason why I want to continue to exponentially grow in every single aspect of my life, because I can have a greater contribution and I can have a greater or create a greater difference in other people's lives. This to me is very, very important, and I love doing it. So let's see, how can I move this? It's my phone that tells me everything's working. Okay, continuing on. So I want you to remember this. There are two paths that a person can take to grow in their life. And we do have a choice. What is not a choice is whether we're gonna grow and have to learn or not. This is not something that we can control or avoid. This is not part of the rule set. The lessons will be there, and the more you refuse to learn and grow, the more and harder and harsher the lessons we're gonna become. Because we are here to grow, and you don't graduate and move on to the next class if you don't pass the test that life's gonna offer you. So it's not a question if you are going to grow. The question is, how do you choose to grow? Because there are two paths we can take. The first one is by default and is retroactive. It's called Kensho from Japanese, and it has to do that it's a process of growth through pain and suffering. Things happen in our life that we'd not necessarily appreciate in that moment, that change our life, our mindset, our emotions, who we are on such a deep level that after that process we have grown, we have changed, we've learned lessons, valuable lessons, and so on. I'm sure that there are multiple events in your life that have taken place up to this point that have been from that perspective. Things that you didn't expect, things that you don't necessarily ask for, but years on, when you look back, you can see that they've actually helped you in some way, which is a great thing if you actually realize this, right? Because as I mentioned, this is a retroactive way to grow, meaning that the event happens and then, only then, if you realize where the gifts are, where the lessons are, and this what happens is where you grow and transform. Now, again, we don't get to choose if we're gonna grow in this game of life. This is an inevitable part of life. However, we get to choose if we're gonna, by default, play the, well, I'm gonna grow by pain and suffering, or I'm gonna take a proactive action, which is the other path that we can take, which is called Satori, through insight, wisdom, and realization, by going out of your way to actually find teachers, find knowledge, find experiences, and so on that actually allow you to grow. So instead of the growth coming to your door and knocking, and sometimes knocking you in the head so you fall down on the ground really hard, you go and knock on doors and look for these opportunities for growth to show up. Again, you have a choice. You can either go through pain and trauma and suffering, which we've all done. I've been there myself. I wasn't the way I am today 20 years ago. My mindset was very different. The way I saw the world and so on was very different. I didn't mind growth, but I wasn't putting myself out there purposely and proactively seeking growth. That wasn't the case. But now my take on life is absolutely different because I've realized what fulfills me, what brings me real joy and happiness, what I am extremely good at, what I enjoy. So I go out there, find the opportunities, and I grow exponentially every single time, every single moment. And there's no questions asked. So question is, how do you choose to grow? Knowing what you know now, that you can either grow through pain and suffering and trauma, or you can proactively take action and start growing by your own initiation or initiative and enthusiasm, bringing a whole different perspective and realizing and having insights and amazing light bulbs coming up moments. Like those type of moments when the light bulbs is like, wow, you know, like I get this. I know what you're talking about. So this is a choice you have to make because nobody else can make it for you. And even if you don't make or take a decision, you've already made a choice. So even if you say, oh, I don't want to do it right now or whatever, I'm not going to decide, you've already made a decision and the decision is clear. You rather suffer and go through pain. Good luck to you. Shut off this video and go do something else. But if you choose to proactively go and pursue growth in your life, which is what this rest of the video is about, then by all means stick around. There's gonna be a lot of like brilliance out there and gems that you can take on, and there's gonna be a lot of light bulb moments that you can build upon, capture, and apply immediately into your life. Because I don't talk theory, I don't talk philosophy, even though this part of philosophy is all practical. I'm a highly pragmatic person. If something doesn't work and have real world application, I don't give a fuck about it. It doesn't exist in my language. I don't need intellectual entertainment or entertainment for that say. I haven't seen a movie or watched a TV show or any of that crap for a very long time, and believe me, I have no fucking intention on doing so either. I am high on life. I love life. This is where entertainment is for me. Going out there, engaging with the real world, out of the box, or however you want to call it. This is what does it for me. This is what revs my heart. Now, moving on to the next part. So, I want to leave you first with this quote. I'm not sure who is it by, but it's a very powerful quote. And the quote is very, very simple. Once you become limitless, let me go backwards a few steps. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. Now, I don't know how this resonates with you, but if you reflect on your life and all the things you wanted to do but you didn't do, what was holding you back? If you peel back the layers of the onions, you're going to reach one clear conclusion that it's undeniable. It was your fears that was holding you back. So if you become fearless, life becomes limitless because there's nothing holding you back anymore. Because all the things that hold you back, they're psychological limitations. Every single human limitation lives in their head. Nowhere else. We are limitless, infinite beings with capacities and abilities that surpass even the wildest imagination. There are millions of records of people doing extraordinary things. Like moms lifting a car or like for her child and so on and so on. Inhumane kind of things, right? The record goes on. The only thing missing is the belief or the imagination that tells you, yeah, I can do this. No fucking doubts. Now, moving on from this powerful quote, I want you to write it down, like tattoo it inside of your eyelids so you don't forget. Become fearless, be limitless. As we move forward, and what I just told you is that if you reflect back on your life and you realize that it was your fears holding you back, then you will realize that not only you, if that was the case, but everyone else's, or 99.9% of the population out there, life is a futile attempt to avoid having to experience unpleasant emotions, because there is no growth in your comfort zone, and nobody's dreams are ever so easy, so they can kind of like do them in their comfort zone without having to stretch themselves. There wouldn't be dreams if there were. There will be things you can buy in McDonald's, for example. So think about it. Are you currently in your life driven by, or is your behavior driven by your desire to avoid feeling unpleasant emotions such as anxiety, stress, worry, whatever that may be, right? Because usually it's as anxiety that it shows up, and we'll go into it more deeper in a few moments. But think about it. Is your life going to be another record of quiet life of desperation and mediocrity because you just can tolerate feeling uncomfortable? Like, seriously? You have to have a clear understanding that if you expect or have any expectations of yourself, any ambitions and so on, that you feeling uncomfortable and stepping outside of your comfort zone is an inevitable piece of your process and your journey to whatever your dream is. If you truly want to manifest that dream, because trust me, it's wishful thinking doesn't work. Knowing what you want and taking inspired action every single day, what makes the difference between people that succeed, people that are high performance, and people that make things happen, and those that are kind of like looking from the side and wish or hate or whatever the hell it is. All right? So, again, comes down to a decision. Are you going to live a quiet life of desperation and mediocrity, or are you going to step up to the game? Step up, dream up, and take inspired action. This is my invitation in this video. You have to do things differently. You cannot do things as everyone does, because if you do what everyone does, you'll be getting the same results as they do. And I cannot imagine that you are looking forward to it, because you wouldn't be looking for other type of information and stumbled into my video if that was the case, would it? Now, moving forward. Here is a little truth I want to disclose to you. Wow. the floor is really wet. It's wonderful. I just learned another lesson. Don't have water with me as I shoot my videos, but cheers. Final sip right here. Make sure that I won't spill that one either. Question being, or rather, here's a little insight I want you to think about right now. In order for you to become fearless, you don't need to overcome your fears. What you need to develop is your courage. You want to become a person of courage, because there's always going to be fear. As long as you're alive and you live in a human body, which is the case in what we call the human condition, or us being spiritual beings having a human experience, fear is always going to be there. It's part of the rule set. It's part of the system. A human body is wired to have fear in it. You cannot overcome your fears. However, you can develop your courage. So whenever this fear comes up, you can step into it, because the very moment you step into your fear, it disappears. It's only there when you are considering, should I or should I not? When you still have this separation between what is it that causing you the fear, you haven't engaged with it yet. The moment you do, automatically the fear is gone and you're in that moment. And not only this, but here's the other truth that I want you to think about and really focus on and reflect on going forward in your life from here on, or reflecting back on your life in not so distant past, which is that trying to avoid having to experience any negative emotion causes you to experience an emotion with equal intensity, if not greater. Meaning that if you try to avoid an emotion, you're going to have to go through the same crap anyways. So what's the fucking point? You're going to have to end up, or you will end up anyways experiencing this negative emotion. So there is no point for holding back and being like, oh, I don't want to feel this way. You're already going to feel it, because either if it's something that you want and you know this is something that is between you and what you want, you'll be experiencing and going through this emotion and this what if question throughout for the rest of your life, and you go to the grave with this regret that what if I actually took action? What if, right? What could have happened? Like, seriously, what if? And you're going to have to, every time you ask this question, you're going to re-experience the same emotion, the same emotion, the same emotion, the same emotion. Now, here's my question. Is it worth it? Fuck no, it isn't. So step up, dream up, go fucking take inspired action. You can't be sitting at home expecting for things to change, right? Watching this video is great. You're taking notes now. Things are starting to click. You're having these moments, but at the end of the day, it's when you take action, or as the saying is, when the rubber hits the road, when things starts to make the difference, right? So don't let your behavior be driven by your conditioned behavior to try to avoid unpleasant emotions. The only thing that makes pleasant emotion pleasant is the contrast between knowing what unpleasant emotions are and having them, and experiencing a pleasant emotion, right? Because the human nervous system is wired on a very, very simple concept of contrast. meaning that you can only experience negative emotions because you can experience positive ones. If you only experienced positive emotions, then what's positive, what's negative, and what is kind of like idle, or what's in the middle? So it's a necessary piece of the puzzle for you to go through these negative experiences or emotions whenever necessary when you're stepping outside of a comfort zone, because this is absolutely natural. Again, this is wired into the human system, that you will experience in them. But every time you do, then when you celebrate or when you look back and you're like so proud of yourself and you knew that you stepped up, you knew that you did what needed to be done regardless of how you felt, because who the fuck gives a shit? The way I like to describe it with emotions is it's like chocolate or any tasteful that matter. Once you taste it once and really sit with this flavor, doesn't matter how many times you're gonna have it. Chocolate is chocolate, honey is honey, salt is salt. So whenever this initial time is when you're gonna break through that anxiety limit, this fear that shows up, right? Whenever it breaks up, whenever you break through that barrier, because it's only psychological that's holding you back, really sit in it. So really sit in it and allow it to really like envelop you and develop to its furthest potential. Don't resist it. Don't resist it whatsoever. Allow it to just peak and feel it for what it is. Because once you do, I'll guarantee you one thing. Every time it shows up, it's gonna be the very same thing. It's never gonna like overpower you or anything like this. You'll have a reference point. So from then on, it is what it is. It shows up, yeah, well, it's not the best fucking thing in the world. It's not what you signed up for, but it's not something that's gonna change your action, your behavior, your thought process. You're gonna be like, yeah, if that's the price I need to pay, well, pay to play, right? If you want to be fucking great in this life and create an amazing, extraordinary life for yourself, you expect to be in your comfort zone and to get it on drive-through or some shit like this, or even on Uber Eats, like they deliver it to your door so you don't even have to fucking put your slippers on or whatever, then, well, fuck off. Seriously, that shit doesn't work. I don't know where it works, but not on this planet, not in this lifetime, right? So get real. Realize that none of those fucking things can hold you back. It's just an emotion. Once you experience it, and as long as you're not resisting it again, because anyways, if you try to avoid it or resist it, you'll be feeling even greater emotion. And not only this, but then you'll be asking yourself for the rest of your life, what if? What if? What if I did? What if I did? What if I did? And you're going to re-experience the same emotion over and over and over and over and over and over again. Again, my question is it worth it? Hell no, it's fucking not worth it, man. So, moving on. Anxiety is the emotion of growth, given that it's not resisted. Meaning that every time you are about to do something that makes you anxious, that you know it's not going to threaten your life, right? You're not trying to jump out of an airplane with no parachute, or you're not doing something crazy that you know for sure is going to hurt you, or it's threat to your life directly, and you feel the anxiety. This is because you're about to grow. It's natural. And it's a very wonderful thing, because again, if you don't resist this emotion, and you step into your fear, it's going to disappear in that very moment. In that very moment you step in, you will be so engaged, because if you're doing something that's going to cause you to grow, you'll have to be fully focused. Like you'll be in the zone, in flow. And your thoughts about these emotions and all this will go in out of the back door, nowhere. You'll be fully unaware. This emotion will disappear right away. The key is not to resist it. Again, not to avoid it, not to resist it, to allow it to be and to step into it. The very moment you do, gone, disappears. So It's that very moment before it shows up and you take the action that really the magic happens. But I know you can do it. I've done it many times myself. You get used to it. It's like everything else. I take cold showers every day. They still feel cold, but fuck them. Who cares? You know, I step into it because it's good for me. And there are other things I do every single day that, yeah, they don't feel great, but I fucking love it and I know it's good for me, so I keep on doing it. For example, I sprint up from the bottom to the top of my building with no breath. And I don't mean like I take a breath and I run. No, I mean like I exhale all the air of my lungs and I then sprint 6 stories up without breathing or anything like this. And you can trust me on this one, it doesn't feel great. It's not the most pleasant feeling, especially when you reach the top and you still want to see how far you can go, and your body literally starts to pull down, and your spirit, or me, my soul, my essence, starts to lift up and kind of like say goodbye to the body and get out of the body. It's a very interesting feeling. I train this every day. It's kind of like the day when I, let's say, choose to live this reincarnation in this body and say bye until I come back. It's probably going to be very similar. So I die every day, or have this very similar experience to dying, because that's what it feels like. Now, the key is, and here's what it is, to have this exponential level of growth, is to truly notice, reflect on things from your past and from your life that make you feel anxious. When you think about doing, or when you try to do, you're very anxious. Think about it. Note them down on a piece of paper. Those are the opportunities for exponential growth. And also, keep an eye out whenever you are out and about doing things, thinking about doing things, whatever it is. What are these things that make you very anxious? Or when you think about, or you're about to do, you get very anxious. And you kind of like, nah, that doesn't feel right. Because it's not about feeling right. It's about paying attention, because when you see this is your soul's compass giving you a clear indication to go in that direction, because this is where your greatest amount of growth and expansion lays in. So this is a very valuable, very priceless emotion that we experience as part of the rule set, because again, it's so vivid, it's so visceral that you cannot ignore it. And it's like this magnet, right? It's unpleasant. That's why, because if it was a pleasant emotion, yeah, we'll enjoy it. We'll actually won't take action because it's pleasant. You realize what I mean? Because why would you take action if you feel so excited about doing something? You don't want to lose the excitement by doing it. You just want to stay excited, right? So that's why the system is wired to make you feel uncomfortable. So your attention is fully spot on. And here is the thing, an important little hack that you can start implementing every time this feeling happens. And coming from the place of now you've made a decision and commitment to yourself to play full out from here on, to 10x your growth, to step up, to dream up, to play full out, right? From here on, when it shows up, instead of thinking about it or like writing it down and maybe going back to it or whatever, no, what you're going to do is you're going to reframe it in your own mind. You're going to say, I'm excited, because that's exactly what it is. Your body doesn't know the difference. You can lie to yourself. You can lie to your mind. You can lie to your body, telling you yourself that you're excited, because the energy of excitement, the chemistry of excitement, the way the whole system works is exactly the same. So your body, your mind will know the difference. Or you have to say, oh shit, man, I'm so excited because I found something that is going to take my growth to a whole new level now. And I get the opportunity to do it. So step up, step into it, and see what happens. I want you to go and test it out. Whatever is being holding you back. There's something that's been holding you back. I'm sure there is. There always are things, right? What is that one thing that's holding you back right now? Go and fucking crush it. Step into it and you'll see how quickly, the very moment you step into it, the feeling is gone and you're just in the flow, you're in the moment, nothing matters. And again, use this reframe. I'm excited. I'm not afraid. I'm not anxious. I'm excited. I get to do this. This is a very important point. A very powerful psychological reframe that changes the whole game. Trust me on this one. I do it all the time. And it works like charm. So get on to it. Get into it. The key here is what I'm going at is eventually, as you continue to do it, you will learn to feel comfortable when you are uncomfortable. That's just the muscle you want to develop here. Feeling comfortable in every uncomfortable situation. Getting used to it. Because if you want to grow exponentially, this has to become your habit. This is not something you're going to do once in a blue moon or once in a while just to test it out, right? You develop the muscle, then it's all fucking good. Who the fuck cares? You'll start to see that there is less and less and less things left out there, and you'll be like, shit, man, where's that next thing? Like, what the fuck do I need to do now? Like, do I need to be an astronaut and have a walk in space or something like this, or like jump out of an airplane with no parachute to get this level of growth? What's going on, right? So here's the key: by doing it more and more and more and all the time, and turning this into a habit. Next thing you know, wow, you find yourself one day like, yeah, I feel this emotion comes up. It's all right, I'm alive. It's actually, I'm feeling alive. That's why I'm feeling this emotion, because I'm alive. It's always gonna be there, but I don't let this emotion stop me. I know what it means. Oh shit, like my compass is telling me, go there and do it. And what do? You get excited, you step into it, and it's a fucking done deal. Simple as that. Develop that muscle, work on it. You don't have to start at the end. But the larger, the more anxious this thing makes you, the greater the growth. Right? So you can either take jumps or you can take small steps. Whatever you, I won't say feel comfortable with, but however you want to work on it, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can take a big bite, you can take a small bite. I take big bites. That's my approach. I don't give a fuck. But again, there is no right, there is no wrong. It's just, as long as you take the bite, you take the step, you take action, that's all that matters. Just like me right now. You know, this is not wonderful. It's kind of weird with me being like in my floor, being all covered with water, but I'm like, fuck it, whatever. We keep rolling. It's a little test. The universe just sent me a new test. How would you act in situations like this that are outside of the script? Not that there is a script, but it's not out. It's completely outside of what my expectation or picture I had in my head about this video today. But who the fuck cares? Like, it's a great opportunity for me to show you how we go with the flow, how when the challenge opens up or when the opportunity for growth is, well, fuck it, whatever. You step into it. That's it. It's not that hard. So you can see that I'm true to my word. What I talk about, what I preach about is something I do in my daily life. It's not something I kind of like to philosophize about. There's no philosophy here. This is just pure practice. That's why it's becoming comfortable, feeling uncomfortable. That's the key. It's a skill you can develop if you wish so. Because the other one, the opposite of the spectrum means stagnation and crap, mediocrity. Because here's the one thing I want you to know from me. Your conviction doesn't live on the same block as your convenience. Those things are not connected. There is no convenience or comfort doesn't equal quality of life, right? The very fact that, for example, nowadays they have Uber Eats and all these Postmates and whatever the fuck services they have that deliver food to your door, right? And they can deliver to my door McDonald's, for example, the fucking garbage. I hope you don't eat this shit, because if you do, you might as well fucking go eat dog shit for that matter. But if you do, or I hope you don't again, but the fact that Uber Eats would deliver to my door this fucking garbage McDonald's doesn't make it higher quality. Yeah, it's a lot more convenient, but doesn't change the quality of the food. Same applies to any aspect of life. The fact that something is more convenient, or my life became more convenient, doesn't make it higher quality. It just makes it more convenient. It means that I'm more in my comfort zone, that I'm stagnating, that I'm mediocre, and I'm living a quiet life of desperation. Regardless if I want to admit it or not. That's the fucking truth. Again, pay attention. Reflect on your life up to this point, and keep an eye out for when this strong feeling of anxiety shows up in your life, and use it as your compass needle to show you where your 10x growth is, and step up to those opportunities. Take action and conquer not those fears, but grasp this growth for yourself. Conquer this challenge. Conquer this opportunity, because it's an opportunity for growth. Trust me, the moment you start doing it, you'll get so used to it, because once you do it one or a few times, you just will learn, or you will notice that what was holding you back was this like little midget ghost. Right? One of these kind of like Scooby-Doo stories where you have the ghost or whatever, you take off the sheet, there's just like a tiny little midget behind it, like, like, who the fuck cares? It's insignificant. It's not something, it's just a feeling. You cannot allow yourself to be stopped or hold back by some feelings. They're always going to be there. As long as you're alive, these feelings will show up. What I want you to start doing when they show up is first to notice where they're at, what makes you feel this way, and then I want you to start reframing this feeling. Then instead of being anxious and uncomfortable and afraid and whatever the fuck it is, I want you to start being excited instead. This will do you wonders, because again, you can lie to yourself, and your mind and your body would not know the difference, because the chemistry, because every thought and every emotion has a chemistry with it. That's why you can feel it and you can think it. This is how the system works. It's exactly the same. Anxiety's chemistry or excitement chemistry is exactly the same. There is no difference. So be excited. Learn to be excited whenever it shows up. Instead of saying to yourself and choosing to feel anxious, choose to feel excited and choose to step into it. Because the moment you do, gone. No longer. You don't have to longer to sit with it or whatever it is. But I do recommend whenever it shows up, next time you start to do something, first sit with this feeling. Let it envelop you. Let it just speak. Let it be. Let it be, so you know what it is. So you know what it is that's been stopping you for so long. So you can taste it once and for all. And from then on, you're going to know what is that's going to show up, if it's going to show up at all. Because that's the truth. It's not going to go greater. It's not going to overpower you. It's not going to kill you, or you're not going to like pass out of air or something like this. It's just going to be the same thing. So allow it to be. Experience it. As I already pointed out, there is no growth in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone might as well be called your dead zone, or the zone of slow desperation, the zone of stagnation, the zone of bull fucking shit mediocrity, selling yourself short. Because we are all, and why I'm having this conversation, let me just give you this context so you'll understand me on an even deeper level. My mission on this planet is to help each and everyone out there to realize and accept your own greatness, to realize that you were born for amazing things, that within you lay the seeds of extraordinary potential. Your job, if you accept, or your mission, if you accept it, is to develop those seeds, to let them flourish and expand and continuously grow and contribute on a higher and greater level. We all have this. We wouldn't be in this game if we didn't. And I'm tired of seeing people selling themselves short and being stopped and held back by their thoughts, by their nonsense, by their stories, by the little emotions and this and that. Who the fuck cares, man? Like, seriously. You cannot allow things like this to hold you back. You only get one shot at this game and this specific reincarnations with those gifts and so on. They were given to you to expand and share with the world. They're not given to you to egoistically kind of like hold on to and not let go of. They're not for you to collect. As you've probably noticed, nobody takes anything out of here when they go to the other place, right? Even if you had a pyramid or whatever the fuck it is, nobody's taking shit. You don't even get to take your body. So might as well figure out what your gifts are, knowing that you're born for greatness, and it's up to you to develop it if you wish to. Now, obviously, this is a choice you have to make. And you always make a choice regardless if you don't. Because choosing not to make a choice is a choice as well. So if you're going to play that card on me, I called you out. You already made a choice. Now, here's what the thing that's stopping us, or the major thing that is always in the path that causes this anxiety in majority of cases is one of the most common fears, which is the fear of not being good enough, or failure. The fearing failure, because if you fail, you're gonna feel like you're not good enough. And if you don't feel like you're good enough, then you're assuming that you won't be loved. Because this is from early childhood how the whole population of planet Earth has been brainwashed to believe that love is conditional, and in order for you to be loved, you have to do right. You have to do good at school. You have to have a great job. You have to be this person of whatever the fuck positive thing is, like this kind of like very nice and whatever guy. But where do nice guys end? They end up last. They fucking end up broke. They end up whatever the fuck it is. Nobody give a fuck. It's not about being nice. It's not about being likable. It's not about failure. It's not about trying to get love. It's about being authentic and coming from a place of loving yourself, because no one else's love would ever matter or make a gram of difference in your life. A gram of difference if you don't love yourself. You'll be running around chasing after this and that and validation, right? Like, why is it that social media nowadays is such a great thing and every young person is on it? Looking for likes, for shares, for comments, for all this external validation. And what does this give you? Nothing. You keep on going back to it because it's like you're stuck in the desert, you have no water to drink, and all of a sudden there is rainfall, and you have this bucket that you're going to collect the water, but for all you know, the bucket has a big fucking hole in the bottom. So no matter how many likes or shares or whatever the fuck it is you got, next day you're still going to feel down or however the fuck you feel about yourself. Because the most important opinion in this lifetime, the only person that matters, whose opinion that truly matters, is yours. Just like in my world is mine. I don't really give a fuck what you think about me. It's not about what you think about me. It's about me being of service and serving you as powerfully as I possibly can. If I can shift your mind and shift your life trajectory to realizing your own greatness and developing and sharing your gifts with the world, I will have done my mission. It's not about me being liked. It's not about none of this crap. Because it's the good opinion of other people that is stopping everyone. Or people, because they have this primary fear of not being good enough, which causes them to feel fear of failure, because they equate this that if they're not good enough and fail, they won't be loved. And that's because everyone is thinking that, oh, what somebody would say, oh, if I failed or if I do this, what would somebody say? Who the fuck cares? You know what's going on in their head? They're having the same internal voice or conversation going on there. All their concern is, what would this person tell about me? Or what would they think about me? Who the fuck cares? What difference does it make? No matter what everybody thinks about you, even the whole world loves you. If you don't love yourself, you don't like yourself, you're still gonna feel the same fucking way. Nothing's gonna change. Case closed. You either love yourself and come from this place or nobody else does. I want you to truly take this to heart. The good opinion of other people or a group as it's known is one of the most toxic fucking things you can swim in. I want you to know that regardless of the amount of external validation you get and so on, and likes and share and whatever the fuck it is, and compliments and so on from other people, and you've probably noticed this yourself, but none of this thing lasts. None of this thing makes you feel great about yourself. The very moment it happens, you forget about it, right? That's why people keep on going and posting things on social media and looking at the likes and so on and so on and so on and so on, because this is not a sustainable thing. It's not something that builds up, that becomes like an avalanche as it builds up. No, it's exactly the opposite. It evaporates in the very moment you look at it, because it's like a little dopamine hits, which what actually the science behind social media is. But this is a topic of a whole different discussion, because the people that design Instagram and all these fucking shitty apps went and hired all the top level behavior scientists that work in the casinos in Las Vegas to develop a highly addictive product that changes human behavior, psychology, and everything else. And you can see the repercussions of that. I mean, how many cases are there of people doing like extremely crazy shit on Instagram, YouTube, or whatever, just to get some likes so they can get that validation, because it's like a drug. Key being that unless you have self-love and high opinion of yourself, nobody else's opinion makes any fucking difference. It doesn't fucking matter. So don't allow the people's opinion to hold you back. Actually, for that matter, what I want you to do, if you're still listening, is to go out there and do things that make you very socially uncomfortable. Things that at this point you're like, oh, what would they say? What would this person say? What would that person say? Go and fucking do something crazy in a public space. do some social freedom exercise where you don't give a fuck about what people think. Because once you stop caring about what people think, you're fucking free to do whatever the fuck you want to do. And there is no more freeing feeling in the world than that. Like, trust me on this one, I do it all the time. I don't give a fuck. And it's not like I always was like this, but I always had a very high opinion of myself. So nobody else's opinion mattered. However, though, I grew up in a family or in a home where my mom was always concerned with, what did this person would say? What would she say? What would these people think? And I was always like, Mom, who the fuck cares? What difference does it make? You're my mom. We live together. I don't give a fuck about what they say. The truth is, the moment you become authentic and you start to love yourself and like yourself for who you are and how you are, and you can be authentic with everyone else, it's the most fucking beautiful moment in your life, because you're gonna see clearly who are the people that love you for who you are and how you are, and who the people that hate you. And you're not gonna have the lukewarms, like the people that are kind of like, they're pretending there because there's something for them to gain. But they don't give a fuck about you. And when the time comes when you need a real favor, you ask them for something, they'll be like, nah, whatever, you know, they'll kind of like slip away into the unknown. Will kind of disappear, like they never were there to begin with, because they never were. The moment you become authentic is you have this clear distinction. These are the people that love you for who you are, and these are the people that hate you. And that's fucking wonderful when you have this level of polarization. Because you get to see people for who they truly are. They show you their real self. It's a wonderful thing. And again, this is something that is part of the exponential growth. You cannot be a high performer or trying to expand who you are exponentially without breaking through this very, very predominant psychological limitations that all human beings have, which is fearing what other people think, other people's opinion, caring about what other thinks of you. Who the fuck cares? What difference does it make? Just to give you some little insights, I'm going to tell you why is this coming from, or where is it coming from, and why is it so powerful. So you have some background to understand why is it so wired with our psychology, and why is it such up psychological limitations. Well, you see, or as you probably heard before or know from other educational talks in history, we grew up as cavemen, or in a way as a tribal creatures that live in small communities, and our survival to a large extent was based on our continuous belonging to the tribe, or we had to belong in the tribe, right? Because on our own, our survival would be very hard unless we were some amazing hunter and a man, for that matter, right? No political correctness here. Fuck political correctness. Is fucking bullshit. If you're some highly capable and strong man and a hunter, maybe you would survive for a while on your own. But that was about it. And that's where this fear is coming from, because being rejected from the tribe meant pretty much certain death, because you had to deal with the world on your own. That's why this fear is coming from, the good opinion of other people. We still have this wired in our system because it was a survival behavior. It was a behavior that by being liked, or fitting into the picture of everyone else and not rocking the boat, we will survive, right? Because we had to be depending on other people's. Where now life have changed, as we just talked about. Food delivered at your door. You don't have to hunt. You don't have to live in a cave. You don't need to make fire. You don't need to go in the jungle or whatever the hell you are living at and forage for stuff while being hunted by saber-toothed cats and whatever. You can be playing video games and not leave your house for years and still be okay, right? our life is very different. So this fear is unrealistic, or is a highly outdated wiring and fear into the system that is total crap. Again, it served us well 60, whatever, 40, 30, 20,000 years ago when we are still living in tribal hunter-gatherer societies. But once we transition into agriculture and we start to create our own food and live in a settled life, this absolutely changed. However, because it's been wired into the system for so long and people do not look at it or reflect on it and look and ask themselves, why is this so? What is this thing about? And don't try to solve it, because again, people are living their lives trying to avoid having to feel those feelings of discomfort, of anxiety, of whatever the fuck it is that's holding them back. Where this feeling is the most wonderful thing, because it's your compass. It's giving you a clear instruction or clarity on where should you go or how should you grow? What can you do to grow? And how wonderful is this that the nature have even thought about this to give us a compass to guide us to our growth, to our next level of expansion. The key here being that the very moment you overcome goop or the good opinion of other people, you become unfuckwittable. In the most little way, nobody can fuck with you anymore, because no matter what they say, doesn't fucking matter. Because it's your opinion that matters the most. Because the truth is, you're never gonna be liked by everyone. You're never gonna be loved by everyone. You never gonna fit in the picture of everyone, because it's just how it is. It's completely impossible. I mean, you can clearly see this. There are probably tons of favorite people that you love, but then you see the comments on their videos, or popular, right, entertainers, actors, musicians, whatever. Like, they always have all these people that love them, and then they have all these people that fucking hate them, that couldn't stand them, right? Even the most wonderful people have haters. It's just impossible to to please everyone. It's just not how things work. So might as well be authentic. Don't give a fuck about people think, and become unfuckwithable. And be your own inner center of validation, your own inner center of love, your own inner center of your own galaxy called my world. Right? Do not, or to be more constructive, escape the liquid sand or the quicksand of goop, because that's exactly what it is. It's like quicksand. The more you're concerned with it, the more you start to slowly sink, and there is no escape. As I've already mentioned, but I want to state this again, all limitations that exist are only in your head. Only in your head. There are no limitations. Like, seriously, we human beings have a very small understanding of what the true capacity and capability of this thing called the human body is. Because we have so many fucked up psychological limitations holding us back. I don't think that we're gonna know for another 1,000 years what the true capabilities of the human body are, if not longer. The only people that have I would say, a deep understanding are yogis, who's been dedicated 10, 20,000 years of their life, or lifetimes over lifetimes over lifetimes, of taking those capabilities to their furthest extent to test out what the limits are. And that's where you hear, if you're interested, right? For example, if you read the autobiography of a yogi, this very inspirational book that talks about some abilities that most people would think about impossible, right? However, there's so many books talking about yogis in the Himalayan mountains, meditating for days and so on without heartbeat, without breathing whatsoever, without taking water or food for months. Truth is, everyone is capable of those feats. It's just that there are so many psychological limitations that we've been brainwashed through early childhood. All of this conventional wisdom we've been fed with, that it's all fucking bullshit. Or at least 99.5% of it is. Because majority of people, majority of social norms, the world we live in is based on fear, on scarcity, on telling you what you cannot do rather than what you can do. Because there is nothing that you can do if you put your mind to it, as many other people prior to me and prior to us have done before. Our ancestors, over 50,000 years ago, populated the entire planet. How the fuck did they do it? Most people nowadays, if you tell them, oh, you have to go, even with the ease and how convenient life is, you have to go on foot or on a bicycle across the fucking world, go to Australia, they'll probably die 30,000 times before they hit there. Our ancestors did this 50,000 years ago. They crossed the Bering Strait. They sailed through the Pacific Ocean and inhabited most of the little islands. Like the Eastern Islands, for example. There are evidence that people have been living there for thousands of years. How did they do it? Do you think they got on the cruise ship and just kind of like jumped over when they liked an island? Or maybe they flight on the whatever airline? They had their private jet. They teleported there. Our lives have become so comfortable that we have forgotten what this technology is built for. This is the most capable technology that exists on this planet and that would ever exist on this planet. Because I don't know if you realize this or not, but this thing, even though we call it technology, or this thing, or the camera that I'm recording with, or for that matter, a car or whatever the fuck it is, even if it's a space shuttle, was created by this thing. Everything that we take for granted, that makes our lives easier, is a product of this thing. Without this thing, nothing exists. It's the most capable technology on this planet. My invitation is for you to find an inspiration within you to start tapping into what your potential is. Because I can tell you one thing, infinite is the only word, or a few words that can describe it. Infinite. It could be anything. Something I want to prep you for. Maybe you realize this, maybe you don't. But just to be clear on one thing. Since we are talking about exponential growth, and we already know that life is all about growth, learning, and contribution, well, you cannot expect that the tests in life, or the lessons you have to go through, or the growth you will be faced with as you continue to grow and up level your growth will be easier than before. You can expect things to get more complex, more thrilling, and require more out of you. Because this is the rule set of any game. It's just like if you were to graduate 5th grade and you go to 6th. Is it going to be easier? Of course not. It's designed not to be. So you cannot expect that the life or the test that life is going to offer you or present you with to be easier than before. If they are, then you're actually lying to yourself, because then you're not growing. You're again back into your comfort zone. You're stagnating. Growth only occurs in your or outside of your comfort zone. There is no growth within your comfort zone. Case closed. So I want you to be already expecting this, or coming from a place of, again, being courageous. And when these, just like, again, it's not the most wonderful thing that you see. It's sweat all over the place and it's all over the floor, and then I'll have to clean up all this mess. But roll with it. Who the fuck cares? It's just water. At the end of the day, 80% of the content of my body is water anyways. So what's the big fucking deal? It's like 4/5 of me kind of like spread all over the ground, or like all over the place. Big fucking deal. Point being is, get ready for things to get even harder. And learn to love it. Just like, for example, a very nice or a good analogy for this. When you go to the gym and you really push your muscles and stuff, it hurts, right? In those moments when you do the last reps, if you're doing them proper to failure, and extremely slow and so on, if you know how to work out to where you can take yourself to the limit, things hurt. It doesn't feel great, but you enjoy this burning, this hurt, this feeling, because you know your whole body is growing through it. You know that it's actually good for you. So this is the same thing. And again, it's those feelings. Who the fuck cares? Sit with this feeling of anxiety for once. Let it overcome you. Let it just envelop you. Let it be and fully develop. Feel it, experience it, have enough of it, and then every time it shows up from then on, it's the same fucking thing. You had chocolate before, you had honey, now you had fucking anxiety. Who the fuck cares? There's a final thought I want to leave you with. I want you to, again, building up on this point of escaping the quicksand of goop and setting off on your trajectory to greatness. What I want you to have, and you already probably have if you're still watching this video, is to have a belief in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And there's always going to be people with doubts that are going to show up in your life, because people project on you, trust me when I say this, their own limitations. They don't see yours because they already have their shit. Again, the only thing they're concerned with is what you or somebody else is going to think of them. So they will be projecting on you their own fucking limitations. They're not yours. So if you don't believe in yourself, don't expect anyone else to. It's as simple as that. You fucking got this. I know that you do. And there's one more point that is very important. I want you to know that there isn't a single successful person who hasn't failed before or hasn't made a mistake. It's fucking impossible. Most people that are highly successful have failed multiple fucking times, because this is part of the learning curve. However, what I want you to realize and to reframe and start to think about is that there is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback. And if you believe in yourself, and if you do what's necessary, as long as you keep on trying different things, doing different things, right? Not doing the same mistake over and over and over and again, and going into the phase of insanity when you're repeating the same thing and you're expecting different results, then all you're learning is gaining feedback, actual feedback, because this is how we learn, right? You go out, you make an assumption, because every thought you have for something you want to do and how you're going to do it is just an assumption. Unless you've tested it out in the real world, it's just an assumption. So the quicker you can go and test it out into the real world and then come back and see, does it work, does not work, and what can you change, right? Because that's the key. There is no failure, there's only feedback. You just keep on iterating. You keep on trying different things. You keep on doing new things. That's the key. I hope this was another valuable and powerful talk that have open your mind and your world to a whole new dimension of what is possible, or how to overcome the things that have been holding you back up to this point. And I hope that you will take action tomorrow or the next few days as soon as possible and go and apply the things I spoke about. You put them to the test, see how it works for you. Step outside of your comfort zone and start stretching your comfort zone and yourself including. Now I have a few things I want to add to it, because I'm coming from a place of always adding more and more and more value. My goal is to add value and to serve you powerfully. Please, if you think this was an amazingly powerful and useful video, like it, share it, post a comment, leave me a question. I'm always happy and looking forward to answering your questions, seeing your comments. Also, I offer 1 hour free complimentary life coaching, which is guaranteed to bring you exponential results. My goal is to help you break through whatever limitation you have, whatever challenge or problems, and get you to the next level of your game, whatever that might be. Book your coaching call. I look forward to serving you. Also, I have a 5-day amazing online holistic transformation challenge available that you can sign up right now and start transforming all of the fundamental aspects of yourself, your personality, and your world. That was gonna 10x the quality of your life. So I don't know what you're waiting for, but if I were you, I'll be clicking down on that button to sign up. And one more thing, as things are starting to finally get to the normal, whatever that new normal is gonna be like, I host at least 3 amazing live workshops every single week in LA. The link is below. Find out what and which workshop do you like and come join us. Come join me and others such as yourself who are looking for that edge, who are looking to grow themselves, who are looking to expand and be extraordinary and amazing in their life. Come and join us. Learn amazing things. I would love to meet you in person. I would love to serve you in person, and I would love to add more and more value to your life. Thank you for tuning in. It's wonderful to have you. I love you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.